committee.
Good morning, Chairman, honorable members, our witnesses. Habyara Fortunate, Member of Parliament Bufumbira North in Equatorial District, member of this committee.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Salongo Richard Senteza. Warm regards from Lugazi.
Good morning, Chairman and members. My name is Chiza Hakim Saula, Member of Parliament for Bukoto South Constituency, Rengo District.
Clerk, lead the technical team.
Thank you, Honorable Chair, and good morning. My name is Bwire Webi, the clerk to the committee, my staff.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. My name is Rosefield Achiro, Senior Administrator, Cosase Committee.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, members. My name is Shamira Nyalale, Administrative Assistant to the committee.
Thank you. My name is Lila Steven, Senior Assistant Editor of Hansard attached to this committee.
Thank you, Chair. Thank you, honorable members. I'm Damari Kakumba Chijambo, General's Office attached to this committee.
Thank you, Chair. I'm Edward Ngovier, Economist to the committee.
Thank you, Chair. Justine Nambiru, Principal Research Officer.
I'm Detective IP Chemonges Frederick, CID attached to this committee.
Good morning, Chair. Detective IP Vironji, CID attached to this committee.
Thank you, Chair. My name is Lloyd Eucrisius, CID attached to this committee.
Thank you. Let's turn to Nssf, the team leader.
Chair, good morning, honorable members. My name is Patrick Michael Ayota, the Managing Director for Nssf.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Gerald Paul Casato, Deputy Managing Director, Nssf.
Thank you, Chair, honorable members. My name is Milton Stephen Wall. I work at Nssf as the Chief People and Culture Officer. Thank you.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning.
Chief People and Culture Officer, or Head of Human Resources in other places.
Good morning, Chair. Good morning, honorable members. My name is Benoni Katen. I'm the Chief Technology and Solution Officer at Nssf. Chief Technology and Enterprise Solutions Officer.
Morning, Chair and honorable members. I am Agnes Tibaita Ishaza, the Legal Officer and Corporation Secretary.
Morning, Chair and the members. My name is Geoffrey Sajabi Waiswa. I work as the Chief Commercial Officer at the fund.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Penina Karagambe Wawire. I work as Chief of Enterprise and Growth at Nssf.
Morning, Chair. I'm David Wanangwe. I'm a project manager with the real estate portfolio at the fund.
Good morning, Chair and the members. I'm George William Kayondo. I work as the finance manager in Nssf.
Good morning, Chair, honorable members. I'm called Abdu Bakayana. I work as a senior manager real estate development at the fund.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Conrad Zira. I serve in the Finance Department.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Dan Muka, the Chief Procurement and Disposal Officer, Nssf.
Thank you. Good morning, Chair and honorable members. Oh, I thought you were seeing me. Good morning, Chair and honorable members. My name is Arimi Barbara Teddy. I'm the Chief Marketing and Corporate Affairs Officer.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. Edward Senyonjo is my name. I'm the Chief Risk Officer at the fund.
Good morning, Chair and honorable members. I'm Geoffrey Barije, Chief Internal Auditor, Nssf.
Thank you, colleagues and the team from Nssf. I welcome you for today's engagement. We apologize that the engagements were meant to begin at 8. And after a thorough discussion as the membership of Cosase, that has occasioned the delay in our today's start. We have noted with concern, and as a committee, that the Auditor General and the reports of the Auditor General are not, according to us so far, meeting our expected standards. We have identified a number of arising concerns from the reports we have so far perused through, and from the reports so far submitted to the committee from Parliament since these reports were reinstated. And we feel we must extend our concern to the Auditor General. We actually intend to invite the Auditor General as Cosase for a detailed engagement where we shall lay out a number of concerns we have identified within the nature, content, context, the entire context, the coverage, scope, among others, of the Auditor General's report on a number of entities. The only brief we have got from the Auditor General's representative has been that some entities are audited by private firms and some by officers of the Auditor General. Now, we want to understand whether the problem is internal within the office of the Auditor General. There is a syndicate amongst hired or contracted firms. So as Cosase, we are taking it serious, and we are taking keen interest, because as a way of boosting and improving accountability, the Auditor General is a key player. We are equally studying further as to where the Auditor General reports. But away from that, we intend to have an interface with the Auditor General and the entire team from the Auditor General's office to lay our elaborate concerns. And as an accountability committee, we want an elaborate assistance from the office of the Auditor General, but as well, we want to extend our concerns as observable from the Auditor General's reports we have received. Away from that, as to the other accounting officers of some entities which are yet to appear before Cosase. Now that the Auditor General's report has issues according to us, especially for some entities, we are going to stretch and exercise our mandate as a committee to have an elaborate approach on every entity and on every accounting officer we interface with. And the rules of procedure of Parliament provides for the framework on how we shall actually execute that. In our previous meeting, I communicated that we have also written to the Speaker seeking guidance on some entities which had been which had received a resemblance of protection through an administrative communication by the Speaker of the 11th Parliament. We are still waiting for the response from the Office of the Speaker. And if we don't receive the response within this week, we shall visit the Speaker's Cosase. Possibly to assist him understand verbally. But in terms of the write-up, we have already sent a letter to the Speaker. We hope because of the various engagements, he hasn't got a chance to respond to our letter. But we are still waiting. We want every accounting officer, every statutory authority, agency, or state enterprise, or commission to be accountable and to have an interface with us over the Auditor General's report. Our colleagues and the team from Nssf, now to welcome you for today's interface. From the face of it, and from our preliminary scrutiny of the Auditor General's report, and from the responses, there are some concerning issues which I'll pray that the accounting officer, as you respond or as you make opening remarks, and later take us through your response. We are going to start with the audit report, and then we shall proceed to the financial statements. Since the audit report, as it is, has fewer issues, as a committee we have a number of additional issues from the financial statements. I believe your response was largely on the report. So we shall receive your remarks and then a response from the report, and then we shall proceed with a wide engagement on the financial statements of the National Social Security Fund. Now, but among the critical issues which you must also capture on the onset, we are concerned with the loan extended to Uganda Clays of 20.6 billion. What is concerning is that you extended a loan of 20.6 billion to Uganda Clays, starting I think from 2nd January 2025. But according to the mortgage and according to the report, that the market value was 15.4 billion, meaning the loan you extended has 9.6 billion as unsecured, and for that you are investing members' savings who may seek to recover from Nssf anytime. Now it becomes concerning. it should form a critical part of your urgent responses within your opening statements. Number two, there has been a discussion on suspense accounts. Call them reserves. That money in billions remain on those reserves. The members, the would-be beneficiaries, don't get the due interest, if any, because they are unknown according to your records. Be quick to clarify whether actually, if these members are actually known, they get the due interest. But from the records, it appears members whose money is kept on these suspense accounts or reserves, even when invested, don't get the due interest according to profit. And lastly, for now, there is a concern of over 208 billion in losses resulting from foreign exchange, which has been highlighted in your financials. 208 billion in losses. It's a loss in foreign exchange. Now, to an ordinary Ugandan who saves with Nssf, it becomes a concern. Is their money being lost? Who is responsible? Who is accountable? Of course, we have so many other issues. I wanted to highlight those to prepare your mind. That is really a very hectic day in terms of figures. For now, I want to accord the opportunity to give your opening remarks, your overview of the, and your elaborate account of the entity, and where possible, touch on some of these matters before we now let you turn to your responses. Let him first be on the record, then yeah. It was in line, but let him first be on the record, then you can.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members. We really relish the opportunity to come before you and basically share about the fund. As many of you know, the fund was basically started with an act of parliament in 1985, and then that act was amended in 2022, and then the amendments that were made became operational on November 2024. That background is a bit important because the difference between that period between 1985 and 2022 was that the original Act 1985 only required or mandated employers with more than 5 employees to be contributing to the fund on behalf of their employees. In 2022, that threshold was lowered. Now, an employer with even 1 employee is mandated to contribute towards the fund for that employee. The other aspect in 2022, what happened was then the law then allowed the fund also to open up savings to voluntary Ugandans who want to save on a voluntary basis. Now, it has been really an interesting, when we look at the trends, from November 2024, we've got about 106,000 members saving voluntarily, and they've saved within that space of time 174 billion shillings. So there's a good appetite for Ugandans to save voluntarily, and I really encourage you, members of parliament, if you get some little change, open up an account. It's only 5,000 shillings to open an account, and then you continue to contribute, and it grows very well in that case. So that's kind of the background towards the legal framework of the fund. Now, the business model of the fund is relatively simple. We collect on behalf of our members 5% from the employee, 10% from the employer. We then invest that money, and when the employer becomes eligible, and there are 6 criteria for eligibility for members, 3 of them relate to age. They turn age 55, they're eligible to come for their money. They turn 50 and have been out of work for 1 year, they come for their money. Then there is a new one which 2022 introduced mid-term. They are 45 years and they have saved with the fund for 10 years. They come for 20% of their money. The other benefit that come through if somebody leaves the private sector and joins the public sector, they become MPs because you have your own scheme here, they're eligible to get their money. Somebody leaves Uganda permanently, they're eligible to get their money. And then the last one that we all don't need, a member passes away, their beneficiaries are able to get the money. That's a framework under which this works. One of the things that's very interesting with investing, the investment is guided by both the investment policy and the strategic asset allocation. For most members here who are very familiar with finance, one of the risks when you're going to invest is this whole thing where not all may work the same way. So you have diversification. The strategic asset allocation allows us to come up with a range based on our risk appetite. How much do we need to put in bonds? How much do we need to put in stocks? How much do we put in real estate? How much do we need to put in Uganda? How much do we put in Kenya? So you diversify your portfolio so that if one stock isn't doing as well, it's actually made up by another stock that's doing quite well. And we review that strategic asset allocation every 3 years or as needed if there are circumstances that have changed in that case. If you look at the growth of the fund, and I'm giving you the current numbers, 2025, the fund was 26 trillion shillings. Right now, 2026, as we are ending the year, the fund is touching on 32 trillion shillings, basically 6 trillion shilling growth. When you look at just from a perspective, where did that growth come from? We collected about 2.4 trillion shillings this past year. We earned close to 6 trillion shillings in earnings, revenues that we got from our investments. We paid out to members about 1.4 trillion shillings. And it cost us from basically, you look at an expense perspective, about 286 billion shillings. The best way to look at it is, I came to you and you gave me 286 billion shillings at the beginning of the year. And at the end of the year, I gave you back 6 trillion shillings. That's basically a simple way of looking how that investment has happened. In terms of the operation of the fund, from just an efficiency perspective, we have about 3.3 million members who have ever been with the fund. About 900,000 are active. In that number, we have about 300 who we paid off over time. They left the fund. What we find also, there are people who have become dormant simply because they lost their jobs over time and they will never gain their work in the process. Now we're trying to encourage them to save if they can voluntarily as they do that. There are certain, in a pension fund, there are certain metrics or ratios you use to measure how well you're performing. One of them is called cost of administration. Cost of administration, you take all your expenses divided by your asset base. For a fund our size, 31 trillion shillings, the global standard is about 2.1% when you do that metric. When you look at our neighbors, both to Kenya and Tanzania, their ratios are ranging between 2.3% to 3.3%. Nssf Uganda, 0.9% from an efficiency perspective. And so when we look at what we call value for money, how do you know we are creating value for the member? For each shilling we spent the previous year, we created 19 shillings in value. This last year, which is 2025, that you're looking at, that's ending now, for each shilling we spent, we created 21 shillings in value. If you compare us to that our neighbors, for each shilling they are spending, they're creating between 13 to 15 shillings in value. So that's kind of the fund at just a high level. Finally, one of the things that we promise our members are three. We call it our value proposition to our members. Safety, that their money will be safe. And safety for us is not just only the physical safety, is that their money will preserve the value of their money. That's why we give them interest rates that are above inflation. And we try to invest in such a way that we do. Last year, we gave our members 13.5%, which, if you think about our inflation rate, was 4%. So basically gave them close to 8 percentage points higher than the inflation rate. And we've done that year in and year out. We also promised them convenience, that they will, when they interact with us, when they do transactions with us, it is seamless, whether from the comfort of their bedrooms or wherever they need to do. It informs our technology, informs our people and our processes. And finally, we want them to be empowered. And that's where the voluntary space comes in, because one of the sad things is a member will have his 200 million shillings, and his wife is in ICU, and he can't touch the money because the law did not make provision for him. So the idea is to encourage Ugandans, save a little on your own, because that money is more flexible. When you get into issues, into problems, you can touch it and allow you to get to those things. So here, that's kind of the background, right? So now I'll go back to the audit report and touch on some of the areas that you just raised.
No, before you got the response, give us the update on midterm access.
Yes.
Because you are talking about members accessing some, accessing their savings.
Yes.
What is the update on midterm deposits? I mean midterm access.
Yes. The first time we had the midterm access, interestingly enough, our total benefit payments went up from around 600 billion shillings a year to 1.2 billion shillings. So it was 600 billion shillings in midterm access. That number has kind of stayed each year. It has been around 600 billion shillings for members who come for their money in that case. In terms of just the number of members, I think the first year there was about 23,000 members. That number has hovered around 25,000 each year. I think it was one of the wisest things Parliament did, because it was coming right on the heels of COVID, and people were going through a very rough time. And that money just came on time. 600 billion shillings was pumped into the economy in the various segments that the economy did. So it has done very well. It has actually one of those things that has really, people come for it. What's interesting also, there are people who have not come for it. I mean, yes, they're waiting.
That's where my concern is. How is the access made possible for people? Because you may say people are not coming for it, when actually it is the process that is complicating the term access.
Actually, because we have channels, people can go to a branch, people can actually access within the process on their phone. And at this point in time, I think we are processing those benefits in another 2 days midterm. So it's quite accessible.
So you're saying in 2 days,
yes,
one can apply and access?
Yes, and get the money.
You said online?
They can go online, they can use their phone, they can walk in a branch and apply in a branch if they need to. So we have all those channels for members.
Honorable, what was your issue?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. In your communication, I want to thank you for the guidance you gave. And just to add my voice about the opening remarks of our MD. This emergency loan, as we can see, it was given, like the chairman rightly stated, it was given above its collateral value. And we would love to know in your communication, what is its performance to date? And did you also follow the advice from the Auditor General that you were actually requested and the team to go ahead and get additional collateral for this loan? Finally, this loan was also restructured in 2025, sometime in January, 2nd January. What was the rush for? Why wouldn't you revalue, since this same property against this loan was last valued 3 years ago? That was 2022. So what was the rush for? I just wanted to be clear so that in your communication you can attend to all that. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes. Yeah, in line with what he has asked, what is, under which law do you lend to private entities? Is any Ugandan free to walk into Nssf and apply for a loan? And for this emergency debt, is it possible, is it, your agreement does it provide for conversion, maybe in case they default to equity?
Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, there are projects that Nssf started on years back. For instance, Temangalo, Luvowa. Can they give us the status of those projects? Because the other question would be, why, for all these years, you failed to complete these projects? Yet you have money that you are giving out to companies that are almost collapsing.
Yes, Honorable.
Mr. Chairman, I still have.
You had one issue.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, the other concern is Nssf is good at overvaluing their properties. I think in this case we need our auditors to help us. If at all there's been a discussion, because most of the projects, if you look at them, when they are valuing their properties, those are not true values. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, is in regard almost to the loan that I've just given Uganda Clays and many other companies where they have invested. You'll find that most of these companies are not doing well if you look at their financials. But then Nssf still goes ahead and invests in these projects. Maybe what we need to do, Mr. Chairman, if they can give us a list of companies that have invested in and their financial stand, maybe it can guide us well. I thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Procedure, Mr. Chairman.
Procedure.
Much obliged. Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. You had accorded the Nssf team time to give us an overview of what they've come to present. They've not, I don't think they are through with that. Then we are already bombarding them with questions and concerns. Wouldn't it be procedurally right for them to first tell us what they have to tell us, then we respond? Much obliged.
Well, before I guide on that, let me first appreciate these questions, then I'll guide on how we proceed with them. Another? Yeah. Let him finish. Then we are going to rule on the procedure.
Thank you, Chair.
Guiding on how this can be answered.
In addition to what you presented, my simple question to the MD is that what informed your decision to give a new loan, a new restructured loan to Uganda Clays without a new valuation report? I thank you.
Yes, Honorable Bruce. It is on.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, in the issues you raised to the Chair, to the MD of Nssf, and I don't know whether it was to postpone them, to respond to them later, or he didn't have straight answers for them. In their document, the statement of net assets available for benefits, there is a big concern the Chairman raised, and maybe you need figures attached to it for you to appreciate how grave the matter is. That you have a reserve account. You have an account with money not allocated to beneficiaries. Last year, that money was 91 billion. That is 2024. Today, the money is 104 billion. 2025. The money is growing. The beneficiaries of this money are not known. The committee would like to know, are you investing the money? For who are you investing it? Have you made a public call to the public for those who may have sent money to you erroneously to come and claim their money? Isn't it a case of holding money in some form that members would construe to be unfair when actually the economy needs this money and Ugandans need this money? And in any case, those who paid it need to earn interest on it. I thank you, Chair.
Thank you. I think before I allow another hand, let me rule on the procedure. Given the nature of questions, they follow squarely within one of the observations of the Auditor General, especially in the audit report. Now, I want you to respond from the second observation. 2.0 is sufficient collateral for the restructured loan to Uganda Clays. I want to capture your response on record, then we interrogate it further by way of, first of all, the questions raised also speak to the same. What is disclosed within the Auditor General's report is that you gave a loan to Uganda Clays. Before we look at a possible irregularity, what procedure did you take to select and consider Uganda clays for a loan, and the later is adding in whether there were other applicants. What were the procedure used, and what was the criteria? And if it may serve you best, who is responsible in the processing and issuance of loans on behalf of Nssf? If the responsible person is also here, you disclose the person and also put him on record. But proceed as accounting officer.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you, honorable members, for your questions. So I'll start with the Uganda clays. It is not a new loan. The fund loaned this money around 2011 to Uganda clays. What happened in January 2025, it was restructured. Now, in 2011, when the fund loaned this money to Uganda clays, it was not secured at all. It was not a secured loan at all. So part of the restructure was to see if we could get some assets, at least partially secure it, so that it would continue to do. Now, one of the things that happened is, and I think the beauty of what the fund did is, if it had been any other lender, back then, 2015, 2016, they could have foreclosed on Uganda clays. And today, the 1,000 plus people who work in Uganda clays would have no jobs. It would have been non-existent. The fact that the fund went on and restructured this facility enabled the loan, enabled Uganda clays to basically remain operational. If you look at their financial, which we've put here, you can actually see that last year, which is 2025, they turned from a loss position to a profit-making position. So one of the things that I think we are grateful to is actually that you can support a company and become so. It was not a new loan; it was restructuring it so that this company could continue to exist.
Now,
in the process, we got collateral that we didn't have before.
While restructuring,
yes,
and you got collateral,
correct.
Wouldn't you opt for sufficient security or collateral?
No, they didn't have enough. They did not have enough security that they could give to us. They had very old equipment. They were just planning on buying equipment that was new, because we got really intimate in terms of determining what we could take as collateral there. Now, this year, as they begin to replace the equipment, we now get shuttle over this equipment so that secure the loan fully. So that's the background towards Uganda clays.
Now, what is the considering that you secured only 15.4,
right?
9.6 billion remains unsecured.
Right now it is.
What is your take?
So what is happening is now, remember they're also now undergoing evaluation of their own properties. So we can, for purpose of their own records, we believe that, because part of it is land, we believe that the land in Kajansi has valued, so that gap will become smaller. The equipment that they're buying now, we'll put security on those as we do it, and we close that gap.
Please, the procedure of lending. How did you? Can you lend to any other person?
Can you lend to me if I go? Go ahead.
Let's get who is responsible in selecting who to lend? Is it you as the head? Is it a board? Is it?
Okay, go ahead. Thank you, thank you, Chairman, and thank you, honourable members. I think before I get to the last question you've asked, I think the committee will benefit from a bit of context. Uganda Clays is one of the, actually was the first company to be listed on the stock exchange of Uganda in 2000. It was doing very well. In the year 2007, they sought to expand into eastern Uganda. They got a property in Kamonkoli Bale, right? Now, that expansion was meant to be funded both by equity and by debt. They did a feasibility study in 2007. According to that feasibility study, the expansion required 19 billion. But the actual expansion was done in 2011. Between 2007 and 2011, the actual cost required to expand had increased to 39 billion. Now, in 2010, early 2010, they had done a rights issue to shareholders. They couldn't go back to shareholders for more money. But that meant the gap between 19 and 39 meant that they needed to go to the commercial banks to raise the balance. Now you enter 2011. We were coming from the financial crisis. Oil prices were in excess of $150. Everything was on the high side. Inflation actually, I think, was probably one of the highest Uganda had seen. So what then happened is that the commercial bank rates at the time were in excess of 25%. Uganda Clays then came to the fund as one of the key shareholders to refinance. The board at the time in 2011 could not finance the entire, could not refinance the entire loan which Uganda Clays had borrowed from some of the commercial banks. They only approved 11 billion at an interest rate of 15% for 7 years with 2 years grace period, meaning that by 2020 the company ought to have paid back the loan. Now the question of the chairman is important. Who is responsible for giving out loans? Mr. Chairman, the people on this facing you today were not there at the time, right? So we only try to make good of a bad situation. The reality is that the collateral of Uganda Clays, some of which had still been pledged to other commercial banks. So what we managed to secure when we did the restructuring in 2025 was the collateral that was available. But our intention is to have the loan fully collateralized, and we are in discussions with the company to ensure that going forward, we get the full 20.6 collateralized. But actually what was lent at the time was 11 billion, which by 2025 had increased to 20.6.
Maybe before moving further, is it your submission that Uganda Clays has other loans in several other banks?
My submission is that yes, Uganda Clays had some loans, but that was before we even moved in to ensure that the loan is collateralized. Now, in the process of getting the loan collateralized, we have been increasing the amount that is collateralized, and we believe that as other loans are actually the loan agreement is such that they cannot take on a new loan without our consent. So right now we are monitoring, and we believe that going forward we should be seeing the company the loan fully collateralized, and the good thing is that the financial performance as submitted by MD has improved based on the last year's performance.
The Auditor General recommended that you do adequate monitoring on Uganda Clays. Yes. What have you done?
Mr. Chairman, we do adequate monitoring. We have representatives on the board. We also have an investment
representative.
One of them is actually here.
You give us the name, not the name. And
yeah, Mr. Milton Ward is a board member. He's the colleague next to me on the left.
Yes.
But we also have other members of our board, Director Pedina Tukamesigwa. We also have, we have two, because recently the capital markets regulations on having more independent non-executive directors have impacted our representation on the board. But I just want to give the comfort to the committee that actually we do monitor. We have an investment team. Every time the company publishes financial statements every 6 months, we actually review the performance and advise our board accordingly.
So, before that, now that you are on the board, you have public money extended to you through Nssf. You haven't availed Nssf collateral or security. So 9.6 remain unsecured. Do you have any conflict of interest? And what have you done on behalf of Nssf to ensure that you make good in line with the observation of the Auditor General?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I think to start with, there is no conflict of interest at all. I sit on that board to represent the best interest of Nssf, which is part of the monitoring that the senior colleagues have talked about. I think the only thing I can add to the substance of what they have said is that Uganda Clays in the last couple of years has been going through a difficult business situation. The old machinery had gotten old and was breaking down a lot. Competition in the clay business has been rising. I think we all know the various different clay manufacturers that have come in the country. But the good news is that courtesy of the different financing options, last year the company installed, and even this year the installation continued, a brand new line, Italian line for brick making. And like you saw in the financial performance in the year that just ended, the production capacity has gone up significantly. The volume of sales has gone up significantly. The cost of operation has come down significantly. For the first time in about 6 years, the company turned profitable. I don't have the details of the financial numbers, but all I can tell you with a lot of confidence is that the projections are that starting next year, Uganda Clays will be in a strong position to start paying the Nssf loans in the installments as agreed. And then on the matter of collateral, I think the DMD has explained it very well. At the time when the loan was given, it was given without any form of security, without any form of collateral, 2011. When it was restructured, that's when Nssf took the opportunity to collateralize what was collaterable. And at that point, the value of the assets that could be used as collateral could only go to the 15.4. But as the company continues to invest, the value of what can be collaterable only increases. But again, I think the assurance that we've given is that all the financial projections of Uganda Clays is that come next year, the loan of Nssf is hard-coded to be paid in the installments as agreed.
Maybe before you come in, back to you, the procedure of identifying or selecting the policy on selecting, because much as this was issued in 2011, but at least in 2025, you restructured. And the restructure is as good as issuance. Now, we want to appreciate and understand how is it arrived at. Can him, as he said, come and apply as a private member alone without security?
Yes. Which law do you rely on to give loans?
Yes. You said in addition?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, it's very good. They are coming out slowly by slowly. Maybe they should tell us the debt level at the time of restructuring or buying shares. We need to understand that. Of Uganda Clays.
The question,
the debt level at the time before restructuring, or before giving out money, or before buying shares from Uganda Clays. Because we want to understand how Nssf is good at going in projects that are too risky. That's what we want to pick from you.
Thank you. Honorable C, is yours connected?
No, it was answered in terms of, I wanted to find out what is the value of the current unsecured, because like MD had guided that it's been reducing. What is the value now? But then the other broader issue, as you answer how you identify people who give loans, the other broader issue the MD mentioned, what you wanted to come out in his opening statements, was how to identify investments, even in associates, apart from loans. Because I know that there's an audit issue on the issue of TORs on board representatives. But then in your initial remarks, you mentioned about issues of investments. And when you come here, it's an opportunity also to talk to the people and to us as representatives and the world out there. How do you identify these investments, and how do the shocks those associates get in the market, how does it affect the fund? For instance, recently we had Umeme and their issues. So it would be important to widen on the broader issue of the investments. And then lastly, which you thought would come out also in your opening statement, since you are also speaking to the world. It's the issue of the pension tower. I thought that it would also be important. I know that there was a value for money audit recently, I think last year, and there were issues which required for remedial actions to be taken. It would also be important to give an update for the purposes of ensuring that we are on course, and maybe if any remedial actions on the pension tower are taken. Thank you, Chair.
I think let him conclude on the questions, then you summarize.
Okay. I think I just want to, on the overall process which you raised, as you recall, I said that what starts off for the fund is we begin with the investment policy that has been approved by the board. Now, the Act has given the board the responsibility to make investment decisions. Of course, they make it based on the recommendation of management. Once an investment has been decided on and the board has okayed it, it goes to the Minister of Finance for no objection. So we have internal processes in which how we identify and comes up from so it's informed by a number of things. One, as I mentioned, the strategic asset allocation. In other words, when we look at our ranges where we need to be, for example, we need to be, bonds should be between 70 to 80%. We find out that we are maybe short in the bonds, so equities may be 20%. Then we find that, okay, there is a bit of a gap in our thing. So who are the good candidates? And a lot of it is when you read financials, you read news, you can tell what the company is doing what they're doing where. And that informs the research that goes into that part of it. So it's kind of a scientific process that it goes through to determine whether this company, this is a good candidate for looking at for investment purposes. What you raised was, can you as an individual come and say, I also want a loan? Yeah, you could, but the point of it is there are certain criteria we're going to follow. Now, I'm not sure whether you as an individual, you qualify for those criteria that we need in terms of what we do. So there's a good, thorough process that we go through, and the results show it. The results show, I mean, our economy grew by 5% last year. The fund grew by over 23%. And a lot of it were earnings, as I reported earlier. That cannot be by mistake. And we say we use a portfolio approach where portfolio is diversify, you mix your assets, you mix your securities, so that if one is going down, the other still keeping the fund up. This whole story of don't keep all your eggs in one basket is very applicable in investments.
So, yeah, let him first answer. No, let him first be on the record.
Yeah. Thank you, Chair. Maybe to supplement to what MD has submitted, in terms of how do we identify investments we are making, in the Nssf Act as amended, there's Section 30, which basically says that any money, any reserve money, which from time to time is not being used for running the fund, has to be invested by the board in consultation with the minister. So what basically has happened is that the board has approved an investment policy. The policy also has a strategic asset allocation. Now, within the asset allocation, there are ranges of asset classes. We do invest in fixed income, we invest in equities, and we also invest in real estate. Now, basically what happens for the case of Uganda Clays, it initially started off as an equity investment. As I stated earlier on, it was the first company to be listed on the Uganda Securities Exchange. Now, the fund being the largest financial institution in the country, anytime there's a company which is being listed on the stock exchange, the fund is a natural candidate. It is part of our mandate of deepening financial markets. In fact, if you look at the local companies that are listed on the stock exchange, the fund owns more than 75% of the shares which are available for local investors. Now, but then it morphed into a loan, as I explained earlier on, because the company went into difficulties. Now, for us to review or to look at a loan investment or credit investment, they are basically four things. We look at the capacity of the applicant. We look at the collateral that they have. We look at the confidence, because in that particular case, the loan agreement will be narrowed down into a loan agreement. And then the last thing is we look at the character of the entity. So those are 4 things that inform or informed the restructuring when it was done in 2025.
Maybe, MD, there were some other arising issues.
Yes.
Honorable Series.
So let me...
Something to do with the tower.
Yes.
Remember, is a concern over uncompleted projects.
Yes.
Temangalo, among others. Yes, you are investing. These projects are never complete. Are you getting profits from a few, but making losses from many? Let him first answer, then you come in. No, I'm ruling. Let him answer, then you ask.
Okay. So, yeah, pension towers.
Yes.
So currently, we are at 83% in terms of completion stage. We believe that the project should be completed by end of January 2028. Sorry, 2027. So in terms of the actual amount that has been spent, we've actually paid up to 322 billion. The current contract price, after a couple of, justified, variations, stands at about 451 billion. So we believe it is a decent building. Obviously, it has a long history, but I believe next year Kampala will witness a Grade A building, the first of its kind, in excess of 29,000 square meters of lettable space. And we believe that now we are behind the bad history of delays. Next year the project will be completed. But also a couple of other questions in terms of the other projects.
Yeah, I remember asked about Temangalo. What is all about Temangalo?
Yes. So Temangalo, we are building, we have 465 acres of land, which we master plan to put a satellite city. The city will have about 3,500 units. So phase 1.
The land is in the names of Nssf?
Yes. Absolutely.
Secured, are there squatters?
We have title for the entire land.
You have the title?
Yes.
Does it have squatters?
No encumbrances. Yeah, we have
you seem to be unsure.
Because I wanted to consult with the
Let the person concerned and respond to that. That is the secretary to the board. Do we have tenants or any encumbrance on the Temangalo land?
Thank you, Chair, and thanks for the question. Temangalo has a long history, as most of us know. So the short answer to your question is...
We don't know. If we don't talk about history, we know the history. Okay. We want to learn from you.
Much obliged, Chair. So the answer is yes. There are a couple of issues around our land, but I'll start by reiterating what the Deputy Managing Director said. One, we have title to the property. The titles are in the names of the fund. We are in possession.
Then before you are in possession, yes. Did you pay fully for the land?
Yes.
How much?
I don't have the figures of head. My colleague, the DMD, can help.
It was 11 billion at the time.
11 billion?
At the time.
Okay, now.
Yes. So since then, there have been a couple of claims on the land. One is a claim by Temangalo Tea Estate that led to them lodging a caveat. So there is a caveat on the land, which was lodged when they filed a case in the High Court of Uganda. That case was finally determined in favor of the fund. We have since lodged an application for the caveat to be vacated. It is pending before the High Court, before the court. Temangalo has filed an appeal. It's pending in the Court of Appeal. So that is one matter. There are a couple of pending reconciliations with the former vendor. There is land that they are supposed to avail us in exchange of land that the fund took that was found not to be satisfactory. So we've been having negotiations, engagements really, with the former vendor, Mr. for them to identify suitable.
Who is the former vendor?
Mr. Amos Nzei. Mr.
Amos
Nssf. Amos Nssf.
Yes.
Yes. So the fund has been
He-
engaging.
He's among the, was a tenant or he was a vendor?
The vendor.
He sold to NSSF.
Yes, Chair.
At how much?
The 11 billion. But
And,
there was another vendor.
and he received the money.
Yes, Chair.
When?
In 2008?
2008.
Yes, Chair.
So how many years ago?
But it's 18 years.
About 18?
Yeah.
Around 18.
Yes, Chair.
And up to now he's doing what?
So, Chair, that's the long history I was alluding to.
Uh,
In between, there's
By
been-
now he's doing what? Has he provided alternative land or refunded the money?
So we are in the process of identifying the alternative land around in that area. So what the fund holds is actually the titles consolidated. We hold more than we bought. And as a condition for us to release the variance, he has to avail us alternative acceptable land. So in as far as the protection of the members is concerned, the comfort lies in the fact that we actually hold the title for even more than we bought, on the basis that he's supposed to avail us alternative acceptable land. Chair, I'm happy to report that we've been having very good engagements.
No,
with
I
Mr.
think,
Nssf.
I think, Clark, we must interface with that. They said Amos. You said Amos?
Amos Nssf.
Amos Nssf. Huh? Then I think through your accounting officer, you must avail copies of that said land, the title, since you claim it is in the names of
Chair, we shall.
NSSF. We need to be certain.
Most of
Okay, proceed.
Yes. So those are the encumbrances. And because the land is quite, some of the land that is part of the chunk that I mentioned does have a few squatters on it. And those quotas are the responsibility of Mr. Nssf to sort out. So as part of the negotiations, those are some of the issues.
Did you
he's dealing
sign a
with.
contract of sale?
Yes, Chair.
Did it provide for how squatters are dealt with and the period to hand over vacant possession?
I don't have the terms of the contract.
We need
prepared.
please avail the committee a copy of that contract.
Chair, we shall avail all this information.
So from your recollection, who was responsible to deal with the squatters?
The
or
vendor,
tenant?
Chair, the vendor.
The vendor.
The vendor.
Upon payment of the entire purchase price or part?
Ideally, it should have been upon payment, but I'll say what my colleague said earlier. Some of these actions predate some of our involvement, so we may not have the context of why certain things were done a certain way. What we are doing right now is our best to resolve these constraints, and this is where we
According
are
to
right
the
now.
record, what was done? They paid before.
So we paid, we got the land, we had the land registered in the fund's name,
Yes.
and as a condition for releasing a portion of the land, like I said, we paid more than we, if I may, I think we paid for 270, Gerard, through your chair. Gerard, if you could help me.
I think Chair will provide this information.
Yeah, I think let's avail, yeah.
No, you are still on record.
Yeah,
Because you are saying you have more than what you bought.
yeah, that's
Please,
fact.
please try to
Chair,
elaborate for
yeah.
us.
So, Chair, the titles we have consolidated.
You bought how many acres from Nssf, Amos?
Chair, these are the details that I request that we give you, because I'm on record. I don't
Okay.
want to give numbers. So
Mhm.
please allow me give you the correct records. But the fact is, the total acreage hold is slightly more than what we paid for. That's a fact. Now, the actual number, kindly allow me to give you the facts based on the supporting documents, so that I don't go on record with wrong numbers.
So by Friday, you will have the committee?
Yes, Chair.
With
Chair.
those records?
Yes.
Yes.
But Chair, just to conclude the submission, we have been in very active engagements with Mr. Nssf. We've had the property resurveyed. We've had the problem areas identified where some of those quarters are. And Mr. Nssf is working with his team to avail us alternative land that's encumbrance free. So that is the...
Where do you get the assurance that he's working with his team? Do you have a correspondence from him in
Yes,
writing?
Chair. Yes, Chair, we do. We've had meetings, we have records of the meetings.
I mean, correspondence. What does this correspondence say?
Chair, we have records of meetings we've had with him and his technical team, as well as our technical team, the surveyors and all
No,
that.
away from the meetings, I mean formal correspondence, where he's pledging to look for alternative land.
Yes, Chair. we do have, in fact, it was
which year?
2014, 15.
So you wrote in 2014.
We have an arbitral award, an arbitral award where these commitments were made. And
So-
Chair, I will avail all this information.
So from 2014 up to now, he has not secured alternative land.
Not yet, Chair.
Yes.
Chair, if I could come in. So, as my colleague has submitted, the fund, when the fund paid, it got all titles for the land. But then there was another agreement which was executed between the vendor and the fund at the time. That one was what they called a swap agreement, whereby we exchange some of the land that we paid for, and then we get other land. But that one had 3 conditions. The first condition was that land had to be good land. It didn't have to have low-lying land. Sorry, it didn't have, it didn't require for it to be low-lying. The second condition was that it should not have encroachments, right? And then the third condition was it had to be adjacent. Now, the land that has, over the years, between 2014 and 2026, where we are, the alternative that has been given to the fund has failed to meet the 3 conditions, which is why the swap agreement has not been effected.
You didn't apportion a deadline.
I think right now...
Because you cannot be in procurement forever over the same transaction.
Actually, I think right now, what we've decided by, and obviously guided by our board, he has been served an eviction letter. Because it appears, Mr. Nzei, and
Yes.
we can avail a copy.
Yeah, you avail a copy.
Yeah,
Okay.
because it appears the issue of finding alternative land is not likely to be concluded, especially in light of the 3 conditions that were set at the time.
Could you, the eviction letter should be form part of the documents.
Okay.
You need to avail the committee. Yes, Honorable, let's start from there. Yeah.
Thank you, Chair.
No, let's start from him. Coming this way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. My concern is the Nssf, to my understanding, has not clearly answered your question. The issue was you are in a rush to invest, as the MD put it. But what is the status of those earlier investments? And the example was the Temangalo land. You've labored to explain, but you've not hit the nail on the head. What is the status? This is land which was purchased almost 18 years ago. No investment. This is money which belongs to the public. So is this your method of operation? Secondly, they asked you about the policy you use to identify potential clients. Do you doubt, as the MD put it, that you look in the newspapers and things of that sort? So if I dress smartly and I appear to have the money, do I qualify? Thirdly, fellow counsel, excuse. You ably told this committee that you have a court order. There was a court matter and it was determined in favor of the fund. And then you are telling us you filed an application to vacate the caveat. Is that okay legally? You already in possession of a court order, and then you apply to vacate. I thought you would just execute the court order and then move the registrar to vacate the caveat. You don't need another legal battle where you serve the things like that. The court order alone is enough to vacate the caveat. Much obliged, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Please note, you're going to answer at once because every hand is up. Yes, Honorable.
Chair.
No, the Honorable next. Honorable Logose.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair. I'm called Logose, Sarah Annette, Woman Member of Parliament, Butaleja District. My question is, since the fund got this land or acquired this land, has it been being used by Nssf? Has it been being used by the said Mzee? Is it Nzee or Mzee? Yes, Amos Nzee. Or has it been just redundant? Because I don't understand how property can be acquired for all these years and it has just been there, being looked at, meandering around, because I will call it meandering around, because there are laws which can be implemented for this whole issue to get off the table. So I'm wondering, has it been just redundant here, or who of you, the two of you, who of you has been using the land? Thank you.
Yes, we are following the line.
So, Chair, mine is also slightly related to them, but to make my point clearer, in the contract of sale that you talked about, at least there must have been a provision to protect the funds, the monies of the fund. After 18 years, the legal officer here was saying what they have is slightly bigger. After 18 years, even if we look at the commercial rates, land that was bought in 2008, 18 years, by now, how much would that be if we are to protect the monies of the fund?
So you are questioning if there's an applicable interest.
Yes, because there must be a rate at which the monies should be growing.
So we need to interrogate the contents of the contract. The sale contract, you receive money, you don't deliver land. We can't, Nssf can't be claiming the same total it paid 18 years ago. I think your question is in that context. Yes?
Thank you, Chairperson. My issue is about the Auditor General's concern that the fund has investments, associates, 5 of them. And the the Vice Chairperson also hinted at it, but the MD and the DFD did not answer that. I would like to know, what are these 5 associates that the Auditor General is referring to, where Nssf has invested? And I'd also like the MD to bring the committee on the same page on the exact shareholding percentage regarding how much the fund has invested in those associates, and also whether Nssf has a representative on the boards of those associates. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Yours is on the first issue of the audit report.
Thank you so much.
I guess so.
Yes, sir.
I think let's first exhaust the second, which took us to now the other projects. Then we go to the first issue. But please record his question.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Even the lower issue among the projects. Yes. Let's move in the line. Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. MD, really, how can it be 18 years down the road that pension house is still under construction? How can you really tell this committee? And now you are still at 83%. You're not sure when you will hand over. Thank you.
So is the tower being constructed forever? It is.
Thank you, Chair. Zahara Lirika, much in the West. Chair, there are confusing statements. I need clarity. Chair, the Director Legal says that Nssf and the vendor are in negotiations, mediations. And the DMD is saying that there is a notice to vacate the premises. So which is which, Chair? I am confused about that.
Which is which?
Yes.
You record, you are going to answer all.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Concern is about the report that came from the Attorney General.
Honorable Zahara assisted the workers MP
Nssf.
to pull closer the.
Okay, thank you very much, Chair and the colleagues. My concern is on the Nssf annual report of June 2025, and the Auditor General also, I think, went through, and his stamp is there. But when I went further, there is a record which is puzzling me, that in this report, I think as he was going through, there were some areas were left out. I can say, he said the pages 8 to 11 intentionally omitted. And to me, I think there is something which was being closed off, and we need to know what was the problem.
Yes. Where are we?
Thank you, Chair. Once again, Eliabu Natulinda, MP Ndogwa County West. Chair, the MD in one of his submissions talked about 3 values. One of them is safety. And if you talk about safety, you are talking about management of the fund and investment. MD, on the matter of giving loan to Uganda Clays, I want to bring it to your attention that Section 30 of the Nssf Act requires you, as the Nssf, to do consultation with the Minister of Finance. Can you be on record and tell Ugandans whether you go to that consultation, and if it is there, can you furnish it to this House? Chair, my other concern.
Which are you asking? Document?
Yes, that authority from the Minister, giving them authority to go ahead and transact with Uganda Clays, because that is the position of the law, Section 30.
So proof that you got clearance?
Yes.
From Minister of Finance.
Chair, this team from Nssf today, they keep in hide and seek. They keep saying they happened before we came in. But I want to inform these people before us that the day you were offered appointment letters, you take responsibility over the management of Nssf affairs. So this question of coming here and you say they happened when you are not yet there should cease. And if
I think that's enough for now.
One last one.
If
they are not prepared, I think they can go back and organize themselves and come when they are prepared.
There is no way of dodging accountability.
Yes.
You must explain, then we decide.
Thank you, Chair. Once again, I'm Okuri Geoffrey, Ngoko South County. I heard clearly when the Deputy MD was responding on a question of what is based on to offer a loan, what they based on to offer Uganda Clays a loan. He explained that partly it was declining, equipment had broken down and was facing competition. And they offer money to a successful business in most cases. So, contrary to the individual request, who has successful business and the ability to pay, but you prefer one declining and has is fearing competition. Don't you think such an offer was based on hidden interests, hidden beneficial interests? Then how often do you publish dormant accounts of some customers? Some customers have remitted to Nssf quietly, without family members knowing, even when they have next of kin. Like COVID, some of them perished. Don't you think part of the reserve accounts, some of those members who supposed to write and they are no longer exist, but the family does not know money is within Nssf? Then lastly, how do you treat members who lose jobs but below the beneficiary age of 45 or 50 in terms of their benefits.
Thank you. Honorable Kawada.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, mine is in relation to the issue of delay of the projects. First, I'm interested in knowing the cost so far, the amount of money which the fund has spent on the pension tower. Secondly, I've had many introducing themselves as people in charge of the real estate. Was due diligence carried out on the Temangalo land? If yes, what guided the fund to enter into that transaction? Mr. MD, don't you think that this whole fracas has delayed the activities of the fund onto that land? Yet the people would want to see something taking place as far as development is concerned. For some of us who pass via that land, Chair, we've been seeing cattle on that land. Who owns the cattle? Because what we've heard is like there's a court ruling. Amos Nssf is not in possession of the land. It is the fund that is in possession of the land. Would like to know whether it is the fund that owns the cattle that is being raised on that land. Thank you.
Thank you. So, MD, who owns the cattle? Is there cattle? Someone is using the land?
I haven't seen the cattle, but what we know, and maybe this, let me answer it
No,
now.
just that one.
Yeah, it will help actually answer two questions that she raised.
Yes?
Yes, the reason why there was contention, on the title land we have, there was Mr. Z's house, to have a farm there.
So Amos Nssf stays on the land?
No, he doesn't.
Up to now?
No, he doesn't.
He kept cattle?
He wanted to keep the house, but part of the deal is we needed land that was suitable that the DMD talked about. When he's talked about evicting, we now evict him off that house.
So
It doesn't stay there.
It is possible that the cattle there is for Nssf?
It's possible, but I haven't seen it.
You, as the landlord, you haven't taken interest to verify?
Can I clarify on the cattle?
Clarify on the cattle.
Yeah.
Because the cattle...
Okay. The cattle...
Maybe we can profit as NSSF from the cattle.
Let me just clarify, Mr. Chairman, that the cattle that you sometimes see there does not belong to Mr. Nssf. Part of what we do, because the land is expansive, part of what we do is community relations. Sometimes the local neighbors ask us if they can, the land is there, there are no buildings.
No. Are you disputing the MD's submission that Amos has a house on the land?
Amos has a house there and few cows.
And a few cows?
Yes. But
the member didn't mention the number of cows. Let me conclude this side.
Chair,
okay, we shall revert. Let me conclude this side. Yes, Council.
Thank you, Mr.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, just to consolidate our response, Chair, I've gotten my numbers now, so I can share them for you.
You respond at once. Let me finish.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm
the next person.
Honorable Bruce.
I'm the one who's
not
here.
Yes. Then you.
Okay. Now, I want to refer to page 13 of the audit report, statement of net assets available for benefits. When you look at the note 23, investment in associates at fair value, you reduced your investment from 429 billion to 231 billion. Now, the Deputy Managing Director talked about the due diligence you do before you invest in associates. And from this, either the share price or the share value of the investment that you made in associates has reduced, meaning the investments are not doing well, or you pulled out of certain associates. So what are the explanation whether you pulled out? I've also seen something to do with Umeme. What is the status of your investment in Umeme? There's also, when you look at note 12 of this report, there is an overdraft. You paid interest on overdraft of about 1.7 billion. Now, people would be wondering how Nssf, which gives loans, is also borrowing. What is the status? Why would you give loans and also you also borrow? I know you are trying to bridge working capital needs, but then it doesn't make sense for Nssf to be borrowing 100 billion when it has the assets of 25 trillion, whatever. Then I was reading about the Uganda Retirement Benefits Regulatory Authority Act, Section 68. It restricts you from lending apart from members. So under which law, still going back to Uganda claims, and they said yes, anybody can come and we look at you when you're answering Mr. Honorable Angoli. Now, don't you think you are breaking that rule, Section 68 of the Act? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, on issue 2 about Uganda clays, the responses they have given, but I'm still not satisfied. And what am I asking? The loan was first granted to Uganda clays in 2011. The same loan was restructured in 2024. The question we're asking, which is the value going forward, for us to know whether the savers' money is at risk. If in 2011 there were no rules followed, what rules did you follow in 2024? And assuming you didn't follow any rules in 2024, what rules do you have in place to guide issues related with lending, borrowing, and loaning in the event that you want to engage with an entity in which you have shares? Thank you.
You? Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the opportunity. Finally, I've caught your eye. Mr. Chairman, through you to the MD. The MD earlier alluded that Mr. Zei, Amos Zei, is looking for land elsewhere so that they could swap, because it was a swap deal. Are you mindful about the location? Because land in Namugongo and the Kireka is not the same. When you go to Namugongo, the price is different. When you come to Kireka, it is different. When you go to Mukono, where I stay, it is what? So are you mindful about the location from Temanga to somewhere else? And were these part of your discussions in your MOU with Amos Zei? This is something that you need to tell the community and the Ugandans, because this is their money. It is not yours as an entity, but it's for Ugandans who are saving with the authority. Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Yes.
Mr. Chairman, I earlier on asked entities that Nssf has so far invested in, and I can see on their page 39 of their document, when you go to New Vision Printing and Publishing Company, there is nothing that shows that it's doing well among other companies, because the trading prices are not even there on page 39 of the document. Mr. Chairman, while we've dealt well with the Temangalo, of course not conclusive, but still the Ruboa issue is also burning, Mr. Chairman. It's one of the projects that Nssf invested in a lot of money, and it's a white elephant as we speak today, Mr. Chairman. We need a thorough explanation in regard to the decision that was taken to invest in Ruboa, Mr. Chairman.
Lubowa, please, Mark Lubowa, for the appropriate response.
Sorry for shifting it, because our kids in PE, they are stressed. Even the parents who are this side are also stressed with the city. This is, we thank.
Go to Nssf.
Yeah, Chair, the MD he was communicating to us, he stated in an easy way that to get money, even 2 days are enough. Even one donor phone you get. And when such big people are here before us, they give us information and you may think that it is as cheap and free as they have stated. But moving out is different. That's where people can say, network, you must get a code, what. You know, you have even people, you serve who are villagers, like my people of Kamira. Network can take 2 weeks. So you have such arrangement when you take that 2 days are okay. So we need also just to be fair as you are giving such, because some of the things you are telling they are not applicable. So we want you to be genuine to Ugandans too. In Uganda there is always a handover function and you see people exchanging files. But here we are circling on these issues because where you are now, Nssf, it's the only somewhere people can just get some little money which they have worked for. But for you are using it, you benefit much, much more than those who are in need of that money. So how I wish that as you are before us, the issue of we are not in office. We are not in office. That's why some issues, when you use that as it were a defense. So I think that on chair you need to guide us, that whoever is here is in capacity to answer and brief us conclusively without using anything of that nature. Last one. Last one.
Maybe to arrest your fears.
Yes.
The Constitution is very clear.
Yes.
That any public officer or accounting officer who is in charge of vote, whether you're in office or you're out of office, you can still be invited or summoned to answer for any respective money which was spent or misspent under your control and direction. So be rest assured that the answer that we are not in office is subject to scrutiny, and we actually entertain it based on available evidence. And that's why we sought for additional.
Thank you, Chair, with your wide guidance.
But I hope you are done, because
yeah,
we have to move.
Concluding with the last one, as I stated.
Please conclude. One second.
Chair, there are such arrangements of buying property in Uganda and what we have seen current of conspiracy or insiders when they are working with outsiders, so that they can frustrate the intention of someone who is having an agenda for them internally to benefit. Can you assume that for matters of Kajansi, Temangalo, you have somewhere where you benefit so that you frustrate the deal to benefit you as insiders?
By who you are pointing at? Who?
The whole bench.
The whole of them?
The whole bench,
okay.
Because they are here for purpose.
Okay, they respond.
Thank you.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just 2 questions. One is still about Uganda Craze. I would love to know which other institutions and organizations that fall under Uganda Craze, and what is their portfolio, if you have been, that is, if you've been lending to other organizations like Uganda Craze, and how are they performing. Would love to have such a report so that it can be clear that it is not actually Uganda Craze, or that you singled out only one entity in this country and it is what you loaned.
Yes.
Number 2 is about Temangalo. In about 2008 or thereby, there was an MOU where Mr. Nssf was supposed actually to compensate Nssf with another piece of land, about 104 acres plus. It's now 18 years, and this whole process has been stalled. We are wondering, is there hope that Ugandans will get that land? Is there a hope that that business meant to be invested there will take shape? Finally, Mr. Chairman, I really think that we need a more interactive time with the Nssf because there are many issues and we will not get meaningful and sufficient engagements in just 3 hours. Between 11, as I can see, it's almost 1. We start here at 7. We will not have a satisfactory engagement.
Don't
I beg
worry.
to submit, Mr.
Don't
Chairman.
worry. You have the time for your issues. Yes, what back him?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First of all, there is an issue which was has been brought about by Honorable Sikitoreko. I've heard the lady, I've not yet marked the names, and another gentleman there talking about the period they acquired the offices and decisions when they were made. The lady said some decisions were made when they were not in responsibility of the same offices, and the gentleman said it too. Maybe it seems these people are also not satisfied with the decision which were made by those people which were in offices before. We need to get clarity. Are you not also satisfied by these decisions which were made by your predecessors? Because I've heard it, the lady complaining about it, and the gentleman complaining about it. And like you guided, Mr. Chairman, can this committee summon the same people who made the decisions to get clarity of some issues? Then number 2, Mr. Chairman, Mr. Owori is a board member of Kajansi. But again, is one of the decision makers in Nssf. Are you there as a board member to benefit the Nssf? Were you assigned to be a board member as a reason to benefit Nssf? Or did the Kajan's Clays benefit in this loan because you were a member of the board and also working in Nssf? And is it true that whenever you borrow money to one institution, you designate a board member to that institution? So we need to get some clarity there. Lastly, Mr. Chairman, I'm asking a question about the beneficiaries. If someone was on a different scheme, savings scheme, and changes a scheme to another scheme, when does that person has to access the money? When is not yet already at 45 or 50 what? 55. Can that person access money if the savings scheme changes? Thank you.
Thank you. I think I've captured quite a number of questions. Before I let this side ask more, Board Secretary Council, please first respond to yours, then we move. The MD will now summarize all. Let me first get some quick responses from this side concerning questions.
Thank you, Chair and honorable members. So most of my questions are around the Temangalo project. So I now have the numbers. The fund bought 463.87 acres in 2008 from
It bought
463.87 acres from Mr. Nssf and AMA Limited at the time. And at the time, there was...
It was bought from Nssf and who?
AMA Limited, ARMA.
AMA Limited.
Limited, yes.
Who are the directors of AMA Limited? Wait, you want to answer for her? Who are the directors for AMA Limited?
From my recollection, I believe one of them was Mr. Mbabazi.
Mr.
Mama Mbabazi.
Mama Mbabazi.
But we'll get the details from the records that we are going to share.
Okay.
Right? And Mr. Nssf.
One director?
So at the time, there was a memorandum of understanding for the fund to swap 108 acres with Mr. Nssf to enable him retain developments on that land, because they were occupying the land. They had farmland and a house here. So now that speaks to the question the Honorable that is seated next to you asked about, we seem to also, our views about the decisions that were made. If I were involved at the time, I would have wanted that the swap is done before the sale is completed. Eh? Yeah, so I don't know why that decision was made.
So you were not satisfied with the decision?
Ideally, but there must have been reasons which I'm not privy to. And that answers the question on our views on that. So
Okay.
what has been happening to date is the endeavor to have the swap done and completed. And that has taken a bit of time, including a process that resulted in an arbitral award, the swap agreement that my DMD talked about. And to answer the question, Honorable Louis asked, sorry if I got the name wrong, my apologies. So you wondered why, Louis Rika, my apologies, why I said negotiations were going on and my DMD said we had completed. So we've been at it for a while. We issued a notice with a deadline of 30th June, and that's what the DMD was talking about. So preceding that were the negotiations, including the valuation, the survey, and all that. So that had been happening. And when that didn't yield the results we were seeking for, the fund has now issued that notice to Mr. Nssf in a bid to recover. And then the question about the cows on the land, yes, part of the land he owns is his farmland. So yes, some of the cows are actually his. And the fund is looking at some of that land as the appropriate suitable land to replace that is in line with the swap we talked about earlier. So I hope that clarifies.
So you bought from Nssf and Amama.
No, and Amma Limited.
Okay, and Amma Limited.
Yes, it's a legal entity.
Then one of the sellers, vendor, is still using the land.
No, they were already on the land, and as
Yes.
part of the sale, there was that MOU that provided that a swap would happen.
So they occupy the land?
Not all the land.
Part of the land.
Of the land. The fund occupies most of the land. In fact, that's why we've been able to develop the ongoing project, as the MD talked about. So we hold most of the land, but we still need a balance, and he still holds part of that land. So that is the subject of the swap.
Okay.
Maybe clarity, Council Tibeta. What was their need to make an MOU on top of a sale agreement? Of course, we are mindful that we've not yet got the documents which we plan Province Avail, but ordinarily the sale agreement should be self-execution.
Absolutely.
Why was
Chair,
there
I
a need to
agree.
make an MOU to?
I agree. And Chair, with respect, like I said, ideally the sale agreement would have been conclusive in itself, including the land that had been bought and all that. However, for reasons that I am not privy to, that is the situation.
So
yeah.
Let's turn to our representative in Uganda, please. Well, let's move chronologically up to the Now, you seem to know about cows on the land. Your colleagues are telling us some of the cows, all the cows are for Amos Nssf. Now, you are disputing that fact. Where were you getting your information? Do you have some conflict of interest somewhere? Just be clear so that our record is...
Yeah, there is no conflict of interest at all. And both answers are right. Like they have said, let me explain. The gentleman Amos has about 100 acres in his possession. In that 100 acres, he keeps some cows. The fund has the balance of 300 acres plus of empty land that has just started being developed. Part of that land, the local community occasionally requests the fund to allow them to graze their animals there. I'm in charge of security at the fund, so we normally allow the neighboring community to part of good neighborliness. So it's both correct that some of the cows are in Mr. Nssf's 100 plus acres, and some of the cows the Honorable could have seen would be for the community.
Do you have evidence to that?
I know it because I approve it. The fund approves it for neighbors once in a while to raise. So there is no written evidence.
Could you give the committee at least a copy of such alleged approval? for any member of the allowing members of the public or any other person to utilize the land?
Utilizing would probably not be the word to use it. There are neighboring communities around us. There is empty land with grass in it. So
when did you last visit the land?
Maybe last in Temangalo, maybe
Yes.
4 months, 5 months ago.
So you visit after which interval?
I visit about twice in a year. Twice in a year.
Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. My question goes to the officer in charge of security. Whether his level of kindness has allowed the fund, or even him as an officer, to even give the neighboring communities permission to construct paddocks on that land. Because the land I'm talking about, there are paddocks, very organized. I don't think that can be done by the neighboring communities. Secondly, the land, Chair, want the legal officer to clarify whether the land that Amos is utilizing is owned by him or the fund. Who has the title for that land? That is our interest.
Thank you. I think we may be, and we may actually need to visit some of these properties, because if for you go there twice a year, it appears a member normally uses the same road to his home. Now, and your colleagues are having different answers to the same question. Maybe we shall have to ascertain on the ground. We shall come back to that later. MD?
Thank you. I just wanted to bring to one thing that the good news is this. After years of delay, as you mentioned, we are constructing, developing close to 500 homes in Temangalo that are going to go into for sales by the end of September. That will be 500 homes. The first phase that we are going to build, or we are building them. Also touches a bit on what you asked. The testimony that we had is basically we own the title, the entire title, including where Zay's house is in the name of the fund. After transfers, that's when he wanted to keep the house, but the condition was, which goes to a question that I believe one of the honorable raised, that land in Namungwana is a different piece of land. No, there are three conditions. The land had to be adjacent to our land, it had to be squatter-free, and be suitable for what we wanted to do. Those were the three conditions. And all the swaps he has attempted, none of the pieces he has offered meets all the three criteria. That's why it has taken that long. So the notice of eviction is when we get out of our land, because we hold the title to what he now has, that case. So that kind of even where we are with Temangalo. 500 homes are coming up. We'll begin pre-sales end of September. Lubowa, we just finished the first phase of 300 homes, have sold the homes. There are only 8 homes remaining in Lubowa today, out of 306 that were constructed. So there's progress in terms of what we're doing with this land and developing it, in spite of the long history and delay that we have gone through in the case. When we come to the issue of Uganda claims, I think the question was, is this the only entity? That's the only loan that we have given to an entity. And this was done in 2011, before the UBRA Act was enacted. Because the UBRA Act, that came, the section that the Honorable Member 68, that was part of the UBRA Act. This loan was lent prior to the enaction of the UBRA Act. So there is no violation of any section in that case. There is a gentleman just mentioned something about TAT that we say people get their monies in 2 days. It's unfortunate if you have a member who has come and has complained. It's possible. But the average in terms of what we pay, and we have 6 classes of benefits that we pay. Some of them like age benefit, which is somebody's 55. The average is 3.5 days. We know if the paperwork is together and everything is right, we pay it as quickly as we can. Survivor benefit takes a while because there are dependencies. Because somebody has to get the administration letters, has to go to court, has to declare. That takes a while before a member can get the money. But otherwise, in general, we're actually paying this thing well. And that's why members actually, the level of satisfaction with the fund is incredible because they know we do pay what they need. Now, occasionally you run into a problem where somebody has, typical in Uganda, I have a phone number, but it's not in my name, which means you can't initiate that transaction on your phone because there will be a conflict between what we have in the system and what you have on your phone. In that case, that member is going to come and walk and go to a branch to initiate those transactions. But otherwise, in terms of the TAT payments, we actually do. I think there was a question that raised a bit in terms of the representation of fund board or staff on another board. It's common. If you're an investor and you started a business, you, as the investor in that business, shouldn't you appoint a representative to make sure that your business affairs are being monitored and taken? So it's not unusual for fund employees, fund staff, or board to be on the other investigative bonds. Actually, it's a prudent thing, a business thing that we need to do in that case. A bit of, I think, I've given you Lubowa, I've given you Temangalo, where we are. He said pension towers, we hope it will be finished by January 2027. We are already, and he gave us how much? 83%. How much have we spent?
Through you, Chair. We've invested 322 billion to date. 22 billion.
In how many years?
Okay, the project was started in 2000, but it had a redesign and the whole story. But up to now, when you look at the existing contracts, what has been paid to date is 322 billion.
And when do you hope to finish it?
End of January 2027.
January 2027.
Yeah.
It's at 83%.
Which is about 6 months from now.
Now let's have a 3-minute fitness break. Then we proceed with the response.
May we stand up, please? Just 2 minutes. We cool down the tempers. Blood saturation. Say blood saturation. 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 Exercise is medicine. Exercise is medicine. Exercise is medicine. Exercise is medicine. Health is wealth. 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 We go 1. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Cardiovascular, because the name. Cardiovascular health. Cardiovascular health. Happiness is important. 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 Chairman is vital. 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 Family is important. 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 Put in your pants. We count together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8,
Thank you. Welcome back from that fitness break. MD, proceed.
Thank you. I think that was on the Temangalo, Loboa, and the other investments that we had. I wanted to touch a bit on the issue around the reserve accounts and what we call the suspect accounts. The Nssf Act actually made a provision wisely that there would always be a suspense account or a reserve account. What creates it? The biggest issue that started off was back in when the government was privatizing a number of entities. For example, Produce Marketing Board, Coffee Marketing Board. What the auditors did 2 or 3 years after closure, they would go into this entity and find a line which says payable to Nssf. And they would send a check to Nssf without any accompanying details on such a member. We also found a lot of things that was interesting. Some of the people who worked in tea plantations, especially in Western Uganda and so on, were actually come from the Congo. But the money was being deducted and sent to us without registration. That, when we did an analysis, that were, I think, around 9 or 10 years ago. That number was close to 145 billion shillings. That number now has kind of stagnated around 45 billion shillings. And we do advertise. Now, at each end of the month, so end of the year, what happens is a lot of employers realize that they need to have their money in for June 30th. They will even send money without accompanying schedules. That's why normally you'll see end of year, there's a bump and then it goes down as the names come through in that case. Every account, every balance in Nssf, whether it is in the reserve account, when we declare interest, we apply interest on that account. I tell people jokingly that Nssf is a place where you will not lose money. If you have a grandchild who comes and, my grandfather used to work in Produce Marketing Board, here's the documentation we have and so on, this is what was it. We'll go back in that reserve account. Now, the law requires that we have to go to the Minister of Finance to get permission to then pay that member. But it doesn't matter how many generations it will be. If somebody shows up with the documentation to prove that his great-grandfather, great-grandmother worked in a certain entity, and they've never got the money, and they can give us the documentation for that, they will get paid. So in essence, this is because the money doesn't go to the concession fund, and we apply interest on that money every year when we declare interest, so that no member is disadvantaged because the money is in it. We run dormant fund announcements once a day. I think we're just getting ready to run another one, so that we try to remind people. Sometimes we only have one name. We'll try to do that. Please come, bring your documentation. Let's see what you have. See if maybe you have your money.
When did you last make such announcement?
Geoffrey, when did we do it?
The last time? No. Let's get here. Yeah. When did you last make the announcement for money on dormant accounts?
Chair, we last did one for the financial that just ended, because it is a requirement of the law for us to publish the dormant account on an annual basis. So even for the year that ended June, we published, and that evidence can be.
You published it in June or within the year?
No. I'm saying for the year that just ended June, we published within the year, I may not give you the real month or date, but that evidence is available.
We need a copy of that advert. What about for the previous year? They are in audit in question.
We did as well, because it is a requirement of the law that annually
we need both for
publish
2024, 2025, and 2025, 2026. The member wants to know what do you include?
So we include the name of the individual. We include the company where they worked. We cannot include the rest of the details because they are very private, details. We can't put the balances in the notice, but it's simply your name and the company where you worked. Pardon? Which number?
Well,
no. Because, I mean, for the suspense account, this person doesn't have a number. Okay? For the dormant account, now, Chair.
No, please, take us slow. Now, for those who you say don't have a number, how do you arrive at that? Before you go into
Thank you, Chair.
The depots. You proceed. You are protected.
So, Chair, just for context,
yes,
there is a difference between the suspense account and the dormant, account.
Yes.
For dormant accounts, under the law, there are people that qualified and took their money. But for some reason, additional money came onto their account. We are required to publish such that such people can come for that additional money. Okay? Now, suspense account relates to unallocated contributions. Today, we can go and audit an entity 7 years ago. And from the audit findings, we discovered there were people employed there whose monies were never remitted. We've got an obligation to recover their money. So when we recover their money and you do not have an NSSF number, that money is what is kept on the suspense account.
Now, before you proceed, if it arises in that way, it means the entity you so audit would be in position to provide names of the beneficiaries. Why wouldn't you now make a pronouncement that includes the beneficiaries' names?
And Chair,
even though they may not have accounts.
Chair, we include the names when it's a publication for suspense account.
Have you made up a publication for suspense account?
Yes, and we'll give you that as well.
When was it?
Last financial we did, and there.
So we also need copies of those two.
Yeah.
Conclude that point.
Chair. So, Chair.
Let him conclude on that point before then we engage him.
So Chair, what I'm explaining is that we've got an obligation to recover that money on behalf of the member, even when that member is not invited. It is then our duty as NSSF to undertake efforts to look for those members. Now, when you look at the amounts that the MD, talked about, the fact that that amount gradually has gone down, it means that indeed we managed to trace these individuals, register them, transfer that from the suspense account to their individual account, run their interest for the years that the money was with the fund. And if they qualify, they put in a claim. If they don't qualify, the account keeps with the fund.
MD, complete the first questions before I open up.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Could the first?
There were a couple of areas that Chair you wanted me to touch on. This is basically the forex expenditures. These are not transactions. If you go, when you look at the page 31, which is basically a detail of where that is, it is not due to transactions. And two things, you look at it through two numbers. The number on top in that 8, there is fair value gains of 649 billion shillings, and then FX losses of 273 billion. You look at them together because they kind of work together. Where does an FX loss arise from? Last year, in 2025, the Uganda shilling appreciated against mainly the Kenya shilling. And to give you the easiest example is, if at the beginning of the year, the exchange rate between the Uganda shilling and the Kenya shilling is, I need 30 Uganda shillings to buy 1 Kenya shilling. And I want to buy a cow in Kenya, which costs 10,000 Kenya shillings. It means I need to get 300,000 Uganda shillings, exchange it at 30 shillings per exchange, and go buy that cow in Kenya at 10,000 shillings. So on my books, because we keep the books in Uganda shillings, I record that cow at 300,000 shillings as an asset. Let's say at the end of the year, the Uganda shilling has appreciated. Now, I don't need 30 shillings to buy 1 Kenya shillings. I only need 25. Now, in my books, because I keep the books in my, I have to revalue that cow. So now in my books, I will carry that cow at 50,000 Uganda shillings. I still have the cow. I didn't sell the cow at all. So there was no transaction. It's just because of accounting rules require that I need to be able to do valuation based on market, based on FX rates. So that's what this section is all about. It's not about that we're dealing or transacting or in the exchange rates to do this. It's just because we do have assets in Kenya, in Tanzania, and the exchange rates don't stay stagnant. Rather, they keep on going back. Fortunately, this year, this is where it sounds more on page 20. This year, 2026, the Uganda shilling has depreciated against the Kenya shillings. So guess what? This position is reversed now this year. Because now I need more Uganda shillings to buy 1 Kenya shilling than I need the year before. That's the explanation behind all these FX rates, and I hope it makes it a bit simple.
Because from your books, you made a loss in foreign exchange of 208 billion. 273?
Yeah.
273,
yes.
273 billion.
Yes.
It was not the Uganda. This.
But I also made a gain of 649. If
you made a gain of what?
649 billion.
649 billion.
So that's why you need to look at section.
Could you?
No. Now that's just gains. I bought a share of stocks at Safaricom at 29 shillings, 29 Kenya shillings. At the end of the year, it has appreciated.
Now,
so
to your recollection, please assist us with a breakdown. How did this 270-something billion arise?
No, it's actually here. It's telling you we have a stock of assets we hold in Kenya, for example.
Is it in Kenya or you are using it as an example?
No, actually we invested in Kenya and Tanzania.
Okay.
And they have their own currency. So what happens is at the end of each year you have got a valuation because your currencies are not trading at parity. And the accounting rules require that you reflect that in your books. But the asset is still there. We didn't sell the asset at all. It's still there.
Okay.
I don't know that. I'm going to
I wanted him to finish
sure
these responses. Then he tackles the first issue.
So does that provide enough explanation?
I want you, what you do, you answer all these questions.
Right.
Then quickly respond to also the first issue within the OT report, which covers those investments.
Okay.
So that the next round covers both.
So now, investment associates on which you raise, that's on page, I think, note 23, if I recall.
No, I wanted you to answer it in this way. First respond to the audit query itself.
Yes.
Then go to the detailed response.
Okay. The audit query.
But that's in case the questions that you have answered all. It was one. Okay, what you do? Proceed and respond to the first issue.
Okay.
Within the OT report.
The first issue on the report was basically that we did not have terms of reference for people we sent to our investee companies to represent the fund. What are their responsibilities? What should they do? And took a while to go because the rules are a bit different. For example, the rules, whereas if you invest in a company and you're a board member, the confidentiality rules of that company sometimes are even governed by the Capital Markets Authority. For example, if a board member on a company that's listed on the Uganda Stock Exchange, you can't have a discussion in the boardroom, then come and blabber out here. It will be against the rules. So the question is, what would we need to do so that they could be? So the paper that came out here that we have drafted takes into mind that is where they can come, report back, do whatever needs to be done without violating their responsibilities in terms of confidentiality is concerned in that company. So that's basically what the auditors were just saying. that we needed to come up with some guidance on what people we send to represent us in different companies, their responsibilities, how we pick them, so that there's a bit of a formality how we do that.
I don't find it as just a formality, because now that we're identifying concerns within some of these entities, this would guide on how Nssf is able represented, and more so wherever it invests. I can see the Auditor General stated, I noted that the fund lacked documented terms of reference or guidelines specifying the role, authority, and responsibilities of the fund, board representatives in associate companies, and how the fund's significant influence would be exercised. For example, you'll find that you are the majority shareholder in some company.
Correct.
But the person you send doesn't have terms of reference.
No, and that's what we cured.
How did you cure it?
There is a draft on page, I think, we shared actually the terms. Yeah, it's here.
Is it?
Shared it.
In which document?
I can share it with you.
The small file?
It is, no, not that one. It's actually part of the, part of the part we shared.
Yes?
Yes.
So,
yeah, yes.
When was this developed?
This was basically, we drafted it this year. We already
By this year, you mean which month?
2026. We are doing 2026 that we do. That's the drafted.
Yes? Yeah. At what level is it?
No, I think it's going now for final board. It's going for board for them to sign up.
Has it appeared before the board?
No, not yet. The board is meeting on the next month, 13th of August.
When does the board sit?
4 times.
4 times?
Yeah.
Has it sat this year?
It has. But like I said, the number of things we needed to consider, we even went as far as other markets. What do they have? We looked at what the UK does, what South Africa, the king governance, what do they require, how do they do it? So what we ended up with was quite a comprehensive document.
In absence of this, the representative sign what? What do you execute with the, for example, he represents us in Uganda or Nssf.
Yes.
In Uganda case.
Yes,
What document did he execute?
When he goes there, the Uganda clays will normally have a document that they have to sign as board members of Uganda clays.
I mean, on behalf of Nssf, what does he sign? He just
there's a letter that we sent to them. You've been appointed to go here, or you've been nominated to go to this.
Without terms of reference?
No, that's what the auditor had an issue with, that we didn't have it written out clearly. That was the problem of the auditor, and that's what we cured in this one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when do you expect to table this?
13th.
Huh?
13th. We've tabled it. It's before the board for the next meeting. So of August. Of August, yes. So we can give you answer. Authorized, we can send it to you.
So has it been itemized among the issues? Who arranges the agenda for the board?
Okay. Yeah.
Please come in.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I confirm that the review of those guidelines is an agenda item to be considered in the upcoming board.
So you're already working on the draft agenda, or?
Yes, Chair.
Okay.
Chair.
Yeah, an answer. There are questions related to that.
All right. Now, then the question that raised now about the movement of the balances in associate. Let me go to page 23. Not. Yeah, this is what we have. So this is actually in the note 23. If you notice, in 2024, the total amount in terms of what was invested in associates was 429 billion shillings. End of June 2025, that number was 231,851. Now, it all boils down to that animal we call umeme. As you know, last year, the what was that? The concession the concession between Uganda and Umeme was not renewed. It did a couple of things. Suddenly, Umeme is not trading anymore. So whatever share price it was having, basically kind of froze. In accounting terms, we have to be able to reflect that in our books, because you can't continue carrying Umeme at last year's value when you have events that have occurred this year that would be having exactly. We would have basically an asset, which there's a member here who said that Nssf overvalues his asset. I'll actually a little bit about that one. So that caused basically we had to write down the Umeme balances to 117 billion shillings because of that event. Now there's still arbitration going on. If Umeme is able to get the money they want from the government, they have to give us our share, which means that then that income then will be recognized at that point in time as it was. So that was a big one. Then the other thing that was interesting is Umeme then also goes ahead and sends us a dividend check of 101,388. Now, for the accountants in this room, under accounting for associates, when you get a dividend is considered a reduction in your part of the earnings from that entity. Usually when, let's say I own 30% of a certain entity, I'm using accounting for investments, they earn 100 million shillings. The accounting law says I take 30% of 100 million shillings, which is 30 million shillings. I book that as income on my side, on my books. But when they pay dividends, I have to reduce that income on my side. So so what you find is the accounting rules playing in here that now made that balance come down from the 429 billion to 231 billion in that case. So all of it was Umeme. I hope that. Then finally, the thing I want to question, there's a gentleman, one member told us that we overvalue our properties. Sir, we don't. Because this valuation is not done by us. This valuation are done by professionals and auditors. Before they can accept a valuation, they do some kind of testing to make sure that it is there. For most cases, if you have land in Lubowa, the price or the value of the land will go up, but by a reasonable percentage. It's going up by 10% without evidence. Also, something could happen in Lubowa that brings the price of that land down. For example, we discovered that in the 1960s, it was a nuclear dump site, which means its value has just gone down. So there is where it can go down depending on what the events have taken place. But usually it's a reasonable basis under which that is done. Thank you, sir. Guidelines? No, what we'll share with you is the investment policy that we have, because that guides everything. Oh, yeah, that one we have. Yes. Okay.
Through you, Chair, we will share the investment policy, but that one is also operationalized by an investment procedures manual. So we'll share both documents.
Okay.
Thank you. I want to move to financials. I want now questions on the financial aspects. Meanwhile, where is our CID? We are meant to inspect Temangalo land, but it appears the person in charge of security at Temangalo goes there twice a year. So I want to instruct you to first visit Temangalo land and give this committee report on the status, the encroachers, the users, with the enabling proof to guide the committee on our next course of action over that land. It is Temangalo, and they can do the plot and the block so that you don't go to a wrong land. Which plot is it?
We'll give you details.
We'll give you all the details. With the title and everything you can have.
Yeah, for purposes of the police.
Yeah.
The council knows the plot and block.
Yeah.
Yes? You use the microphone.
Chair, just 1 minute. I'm checking my records.
Yeah. let her check her records and tell us the plot and block. The police needs to do their work in time.
Chair, a quick one before you go figures.
We are coming to figures.
Before you go to figures.
Wait, you ask within, but I'm opening up for figures as well.
Okay.
Chair, sorry, Chair, kindly allow me to share the details after.
Okay.
Thank you.
Police follow up with her for the details. For the details, she is cross-checking. Now, I'm opening up for on financial and other rising concerns.
There is a pending question I raised. When someone changes the scheme. Yes.
Now, what normally happens is
what you do, write it.
Okay.
Right, you're going to answer it together with others. I'm opening up for financials and NP. Honorable Kawada answered all your questions.
No, they answered, but there's one where I'm not satisfied on the.
You are going to ask it again. Now, can you start? Okay. You raise it again.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Managing Director, let's go to page 15. Statement of cash flows. Note 16. There's note 16. Maturities of deposits to the commercial banks maturing after 3 months. When you check the figure there for 2025, it is 639 billion. When you go to, and then for 2024, it is 930 billion. Have you seen it? Okay, it is on page 15. Page 15 of your financial report. Statement of cash flows.
Where there is something which is placement of deposits with commercial banks.
The financial report.
Yes, so we are there.
So you have seen maturities of deposits to the commercial banks maturing after 3 months. It is note 16. For the form for note.
Yeah.
You see 16? It is on page 15.
Yep, I see the note. I see page 16, note 16.
Note 16, but first go to page 15, where is the cash flow statement.
Yes.
Yeah, so have you seen that?
Yes.
That's note 16.
Yep.
The figure there is 639 billion.
Yes.
Then for the other year, it is 930 billion.
Correct.
Now let's go to note 16 itself, on page 47. Page 47. 47.
Go ahead.
When you go to page 47 at the bottom, there is page 47, where there's note 16, deposits to the commercial banks.
Okay, it's 37.
Okay, maybe for you.
Page 37.
For us,
ours is 47. Okay, all right.
Deposits to the commercial banks.
Okay.
Now, when you look at the bottom, there's 2025, 2024.
Correct.
There's at the beginning of the year. Then the new placements. Then there's also number 3, maturities. You have seen maturities at the bottom. Ours is page 47, note 16. Look for note 16. It is on page 47.
Page 47.
You can go, you cross. You cross and give them your copy maybe, so that we match.
Identify the document, then the page. Maybe we are having different documents. Which document?
The financial report.
No. Secretariat. You have a copy. I've given them a similar copy, so that's the same document. You receive so that you follow the page.
Yeah. We have. No. Okay, we see this here and this one. Yeah, that's fine. Makes sense.
Yeah. Also leave them with that, so that when it mentions the page, they can cross check.
Okay. So on page 47, at the bottom, maturities.
Yeah.
The figure there is 786 billion. Then the other one, For 2024, it is 930.
Yeah, 836.
Page 47.
Okay.
Have you seen that figure, 786?
This 639. What's the difference between the two numbers?
Have you seen it?
Yeah, we've seen it. We try to I can tell you.
Yeah, okay, the difference is 6 billion. That's the difference between the two numbers. The difference between 639 and 786 is 146 billion. The effect of that is that it would average the cash and cash equivalents at the end of year to 287 billion instead of 141. Meaning you have understated the cash balance by 146 billion. Unless you have an explanation for that. Also, for 2024.
Yeah, just give us a few minutes so we can figure it
Okay.
out here. Yeah, you're right. There is a discrepancy.
Honorable, the differences of how much?
146 billion.
146 billion.
Look at this one. 114. If you look at this number, 922 minus 911. I think it was just displacement. Let me find out.
Do you need a calculator?
So you see here. So there is
Secretariat, you have a calculator?
Yeah, it is because this one here, you see this number? This one 103, and there is here. So there is a bit of. No?
Let's first hear from them.
And this number? Okay. They are not speaking together. Okay. But that's because we are looking at the numbers were interposed here and the nucleus deposits and maturities. You can see there. I think it is between these two numbers.
Are you ready now?
Between this.
Okay. Yes?
Thank you, Chair. We've looked at the figures. Indeed, what the Honorable has shared. What we are going to do, we are going to give the committee a written explanation to this because these accounts were audited by one of the best. Maybe it is a typo, but allow us one day to go and do a proper reconciliation of the figures, and then we give the committee a submission.
Okay, but also take note that whereas I'm accepting a written submission, where we need proper scrutiny, we may need to call you back or invite you back over the same. Since he's pledging to reconcile, let them reconcile. These are financial.
Now, as you are looking for that, also, don't forget.
So this is 146 billion, which was understated.
Yeah, then also for 2024, there is this placement of deposits with commercial banks.
Yeah, that's the one.
You have 561, and then you have 922 for 2024.
Yeah.
Then the other side,
I think it's between the two of them.
yeah, the other side is 1 billion.
Yeah, we reconcile those two. I think it's just between those two.
So you have noted?
Yeah,
the-
we have.
Okay.
Maybe
Yes.
Chair, you have not, I'm sorry, Chair.
Yeah.
We need to know the MD. Is it going to be done by close of business?
No, he
today
said by
or
Friday.
Tomorrow,
By Friday.
By Friday.
We
Yes.
Okay.
By Friday will be done.
Yeah.
But we shall choose when to engage with them next.
Thank you.
Yes.
Chair.
Yes, Honorable Kawalia.
Thank you, Chair.
Is yours on financial or the other matter?
A bit financial, because they have already pronounced themselves that they have so far spent 322 billion on pension tower.
Pension tower.
My understanding on issues of construction, really, we need more elaboration. If need be, Chair, through you, we need to have a look at the bills of quantities, which made this cost to be high. And mind you, Chair, they had said that at the moment they are on 80% of what they are supposed to construct, 80%. That means that they expect to spend more money on the same project. Chair, we need more elaboration, because we are conducting business on behalf of the people of Uganda, most especially those ones who serve with the fund. Thank you.
Well, thank you. I'm advised that whereas I need them to answer, at least on the face of it, about the pension tower, we're also going to revisit the rules and the available documentation. If we can also interrogate the value for money audit for the pension tower as a project. But for now, please answer
Chair,
the Honorable.
Chair, I think just information, Chair. I'm
yes.
sorry to give you information, Chair.
Yes.
Because
Information.
as per your guidance earlier, that you are sending our security personnel to go and visit Mangalo to assure the committee about their safety. As you plan to visit, I think even the pension tower should also be included. We need to visit some of these properties so that you feel.
Yeah, I think as a committee, it can form part of what we need to visit. But specifically, my direction to our CID was not only to ascertain security for us to visit, but to ascertain the status. Because we have information that the seller, the vendor, is using it for farming. There is some cattle being sighted, and the team could not able to tell whose cattle is reared on that particular land. Two, they cannot even tell which part of the land is being used. But at least we heard that the vendor, Ewanunzei Amos, has a house, has cattle, and then that there are some community members with the permission of the caretaker to also use the land. Now, we need police to first do a thorough scrutiny and investigation over that. But as well, I don't know how I can send the police now to the tower when we are destined also to visit it, probably. I believe let them first concentrate on Temangalo.
Okay.
And then for us as a committee, we shall decide how many projects to actually do oversight on as regards Nssf. Additional information? Okay.
Chair, they should also bring a copy of the approval of the Attorney General in regard to the MOU.
Which MOU?
The MOU between Nzei and Nssf.
MOU or the sale agreement? Or both?
Both.
Council, I hope you had, from the files you inherited, I hope there is an approval of the agreement or contract by the Attorney General. Is it on file?
Chair, let's check our records and we shall revert.
Okay.
Thank you.
So, yes. You have any quick answer for Honorable Kawaria's question on pension tower?
Yes, thank you, Chair. We will avail a copy of the bills of quantities that explains the costing as it is to date. We are happy to, again, by Friday, to avail it as part of the documents that we have taken note of.
Okay. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I'm not convinced with the issue of Uganda clays. Earlier, you instructed or you asked a question. Who instructed the payment of the loan to Uganda clays? And they have not answered that question. Was it a person or a board? If it was a board, can we have those minutes they considered while giving out that loan?
You want the initial loan or the restructured one?
The restructured one. Secondly, Mr. Chair, they also told us in their communication, MD, that Uganda case, it has now revamped. The project is now ongoing. So we want to know what is the repayment schedule of their loan to this committee. Can they tell us the repayment schedule? And how long will the loan be cleared?
Which loan? The one of Uganda Credit?
Yes.
So you want factual details?
Yes.
Yes, Honorable.
And probably lastly, what if Uganda Clays defaults? What is the mechanism of Nssf to recover that money? The 9.6 billion. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chairperson. I feel like the MD did not answer to my query of the 5 associates and the percentage in shareholding as was required by as was stated by the Auditor General's report. I feel like the question of terms of reference was building on whether those associates, Nssf has board members there before the question of terms of reference are answered. So through you, Chairperson, I would like the MD to make it clear to the committee who are these 5 companies that Nssf has invested in and what is Nssf's percentage of shareholding in those companies and whether it has representatives on those associates. Thank you so much, Chairperson.
Thank you. At the extreme end. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. My question is raising from the ownership of this land. Nssf has said that they own the land, and at the same time, they are saying that Mr. Amos is still using the land. I'm wondering who is the rightful owner of this land? How, under what procedure is Mr. Amos using this land? How does Nssf benefit from Mr. Mzei's use of the land? And how does the beneficiaries, how do the beneficiaries of Nssf, especially those who save money with the Nssf, how do they benefit out of this land being used by Mzee? Is there an interest? And also on the other hand, do you also plan to also increase the interest of the beneficiaries of Nssf funds? Thank you very much.
Maybe Honorable, you referred to Mzee, but I think they said Nzei. We don't know whether he's old or...
I mean Amos. Amos Nzei.
First respond to those. No,
Thank you.
You're going to come in. Let him first respond to those.
I will start with the investment in associates. This is on page, it's note 23 in your reports. The 5 are Housing Finance Bank, where Nssf has a 50% share. 51%, about that. It's only page 20. Let me just see.
Of which document?
In the financials. It's page 58. Where was I? Oh, yeah, no, I have it. Actually, it's 50 point something. Okay. So, that's page 58.
Yes.
Housing Finance Bank, the fund owns 51%. In terms of representation, we have got one. You may be familiar what Bank of Uganda has done. Bank of Uganda is pushing for independent directors to serve on the board. And an independent director is described as a director who is not an employee or a board member of the entity or the shareholder in that case. So up until last year, there were 3, but now we only have 1. So the rest have to be independent of the fund. So the fund nominates, sends it to the board of directors, who then make the appointment. Uganda Clays, we own 32% of Uganda Clays. And as we mentioned, we have 2 people who represent, who are sitting on the board from the fund. TPS Uganda Limited, we own about 10%. We've got 1 person from the fund who is sitting on the board of that side. Umeme, 23%. That's what we owned. We had 1 person who was a member of who was sitting on the board of Umeme from Nssf. The yield fund is about 10%. We don't have any. Okay. We have, we have 1 person who from the fund who is sitting on that board. So those are the ones that we have.
Okay. The other questions? There were several other questions.
The question you raised in terms of land, how do they get to benefit from the land? The standards require that before you begin building, you have to value the assets you have. So part of our valuation each year is for the land we hold. Now, when that land goes out, it reflects in the books, also now reflects on the interest we declare at the end of each year for that purpose. So until we began building, because now when we build, that part of it that we are building, now that becomes inventory. You no longer value it. You wait until you finish the house, and you sell the house, and the revenues from there gets reflected. So in a way, for the members, the fact that we value it every year and shows up in our books, that allows the member to get a bit of interest from a property like Uganda Clay. It's Temangalo.
Which question was left out? You rephrase it. Beyond the record.
We are going to give you the
rephrase it for clarity. What was yours?
Mr. Chair, I asked 2 questions. 1, we wanted to know as a committee who instructed the payment to Uganda Clays, the restructured one.
There was no payment.
Is it a board or an individual?
There was no payment. The existing loan was the one that was restructured. The loan originally was 11 billion shillings. It accumulated interest to 20 billion. So then now the terms of the repayment was what was then changed. Now, the terms of those payments are actually approved by the board. And by that, it even had to go to the Attorney General because it's a new contract.
Can we have minutes?
Yes, we can.
You had a question on financials? Yes.
Chair, thank you.
Then there is another Chair.
Let him pass his.
On note 7, where you'll see dividend income. That's on page 31.
Of what? Financials?
Yes. Dividend income.
Okay. Yeah.
that is not 7.
Yes.
The decline in dividends in the last financial year 2024, it was 5 billion. This 2025 is 513. Maybe we need to have some explanation to that.
Oh, okay.
Mr. Chairman, also in addition to that, if you look at note 20, we have accrued interest of 2.9 trillion and also received interest of 2.5. But when you go to note 5 again, under note 5, they declare interest income as 2.8 trillion.
Which book are you referring to? We have so many books.
Which one are you on?
There are so many even financial.
This one.
Yes. Go ahead.
So when you go to note 20,
okay,
you'll find that the last batch, you'll find that accrued interest is 2.9. Interest received is 2.5. You see it?
Yeah, we've seen it. We've seen it. We've seen it.
But again, on note 5, you say interest income is 2.8. So, accrued interest and interest income, that is on note 20 and note 5. Maybe you give an explanation.
Yes, MD.
Okay.
And your team?
Let me get on the first one you raised, which was the dividends from fund managers. Last year, in 2025, what we did was we reduced allocations to fund managers because we now brought a lot of the investments in equity in-house. So the stock of equities they used to hold, especially they were from Kenya, dealing with the Kenya Stock Exchange, reduced, and that's why the dividends from them for that year also came down, because we reduced the stock they were holding. In fact, they had to transfer them back to us, some of the shares that they were holding in their portfolio. That explained why the dividends from fund managers went down compared to the year before. Then we go to this other one here.
Chair. Yes, Honorable.
Thank you, Chair. Back to the dormant accounts. I think it's prudent enough to, while registering with the Nssf, members always indicate the beneficiaries. So having a dormant account may mean, for some time, it may mean the member no longer exists, but they are beneficiaries during the time of registration. I feel it's beneficial to community if you at the time of publishing, you indicate even the beneficiaries, so that they can say, oh, me, I belong to so and so, it no longer exists, and they approach the facility for benefits. Then I've seen that you increase some interest rate on observers from 12 to 13. That is very good. Don't you think, if possible, if it is sustainable, don't you think if you added the one to make it 14%, it can be an incentive to attract many savers like these MPs and the others than loaning it to a facility where you are not sure of recovery? Thank you.
MD, your response to that?
I will, okay. And I think there's something in finance that you don't do. You can't promise the future. Okay. It's not even allowed. Professionally, would want to do that. I wish I could tell you we're going to do this. I think it would be. But even at 13.5%, our members were very happy. Our members were really extremely happy. And it showed in how much more they trusted us in terms of sending more money for us to keep for them. Our Smart Life, which now competes favorably with the unit trusts, like I said, has attracted 106,000 members. And over the last, basically, you're looking at maybe 14 months, 16 months, 174 billion shillings they've saved with them. So yeah, we try to give the members the best we can. And we hope, hopefully, as the future goes and the environment is fine, yeah, we'll go to that 14% or 15%, whatever it is that we can do. But we can't foretell the future.
Honorable Sabamala,
Thank you, Honorable Sabamala, an ex-official.
Members, Honorable Sabamala is not a member of the committee. The rules allows us to admit a member for purpose of any discussion, save for voting.
Yes, and
do we admit him? Yes, the ayes have it. Proceed.
And I'm sorry for the dress code. I talked to the chairperson about it. I have 2 questions or 3. One, I want to know how many of your savers can afford your investment in Temangalo. And is it Lubowa? Is it?
Yes.
Yes, how many of your savers have? Because I've seen ghost houses there with no people. But then you have 1.5 million people that are saving. How can you get our money when we cannot afford?
With the ghost houses, you mean empty houses?
Empty houses.
But already constructed.
Because in the construction in Lubowa, I think only around 5 or 6 are taken. I don't know. No. Okay, that is for you to answer. The other is...
No. Let's get to the facts. How many completed houses do we have in Lubowa?
306.
306.
And 8, as of yesterday, are the only ones remaining.
8?
No, 8.
Remaining for completion or
no, for sale?
For sale.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, that's okay. How about Temangalo?
Temangalo, we have not begun selling yet. We are going to have close to 500 homes.
There's also some other small question I want to ask.
Yeah.
Do you have the title for pension house?
Yes, we do.
How about the one of workers' house?
Yes, we do.
Can you, through your chair, can they avail?
Maybe among the documents, you also avail us title copies of those properties.
Not copies, originals, because there is an issue on that.
No. Let them avail copies. Then originals we can only inspect.
Maybe just come with them, then we shall see them.
Yeah, and we can send our copies for verification.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. There was I think you had another question. Are you okay?
The other question was about the infrastructure bonds.
About houses. I just wanted to answer a bit about houses.
Please respond.
Within the real estate area portfolio, we've got different level to cater for different demographics that who are our members. Temangalo is going to be one of the most affordable. I can't tell you what the price right now is supposed to be, because that will be precluding whatever. But when you hear that price, you'll be a happy man, because that was specially made to target affordable. Thank you.
Thank you, colleagues. I have to adjourn this meeting.
Okay,
Chair. Thank you.
One last question.
The questions cannot get done today.
Only one, Mr. Chair.
I think we have requested for the NSSF to submit some documents at least by Friday.
Chair, this
we
is
also
just a
intend to inspect. Please order. I also intend to inspect. We intend as a committee to inspect some projects, to do oversight on them. We shall communicate the dates.
Thank you.
And from our findings and from the responses, we shall choose as and when to have a further interface with you over the same. But for now, I want to thank you for coming and attending to this invitation. Meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
For the next 20 minutes, you can have a lunch break. And after 20 minutes, let's come back for our second entity of the day, Nita, Uganda. Nita, you.
UBC, inspiring Uganda.
You know what they say about life? Life is really short to spend it while you're having bad food. Here at Chike Choma, they change that aspect by telling you they have what they call a special menu. They boast of so much that you can love when it comes to food. And not only food, but drinks. The mojitos, the coffee. So if you want to find out where this place is located, they are in Bulindo, you know, right here in Chila, opposite Mulawa Mall.
Atohat Initiative is providing therapeutic services to children.
Feminism isn't about making women strong. Women are already strong. It is about changing the way the world perceives that strength. Where there is a woman, there is magic. Professor Dr. Sarah Kwagala Cosase is a multifaceted expert in children and family development, dedicated to creating safe, healthy and empowering environments for children and young people.
No one has a right to define who you are. You are the best version of yourself, and whatever you need for life, you have it.
Her tireless advocacy has inspired countless individuals and families, and her commitment to creating positive change in Uganda continues to inspire and motivate